Welcome back to the Change Dude podcast. I'm your host Saeed Rafe, and today we are diving into a fascinating and highly relevant topic: tech innovation in emerging markets. We will discuss associated challenges and rewards. Emerging markets like Africa, Southeast Asia, and Latin America are becoming hotspots for technological transformation. While these regions face unique challenges, they also offer immense opportunities for innovation and growth. If you have ever been curious about how technology is shaping lives in these parts of the world, or how you might get involved, this episode is for you. So let's get started. First, let's define what we mean by emerging markets. These are regions where economies are growing rapidly, often characterized by increasing industrialization, urbanization, and technological adoption. Examples include Brazil, India, Nigeria, Pakistan, and Indonesia. Why are these markets so important? Because they represent a large and untapped audience. Consider this. According to World Bank data, over 85% of the global population lives in emerging markets, yet they account for only about 40% of global GDP. This disparity highlights immense growth potential. Now let's move on to how technology is playing a role in transforming these regions. Emerging markets present unique opportunities for technology to address critical challenges. Here are a few examples. First, fintech revolution. Fintech is perhaps the most prominent sector in emerging markets. Mobile payment platforms like M-Pesa in Kenya have revolutionized access to banking for millions. They have made it possible for individuals to save, transfer money, and even secure loans without ever stepping into a physical bank. Second, e-commerce and logistics. In regions where traditional retail infrastructure is lacking, e-commerce platforms are bridging the gap. Companies like Jumia in Africa and Tokopedia in Indonesia are leveraging technology to connect buyers and sellers, often overcoming logistical challenges with creative solutions like drone deliveries. Third, EdTech and skill development. Education technology is another game changer. Platforms like Byju's in India and ULesson in Nigeria are democratizing access to quality education, often using AI and gamification to engage learners in remote and underserved areas. Fourth, health tech innovations. Health tech platforms are addressing the gaps in healthcare delivery. For instance, telemedicine services like providing critical healthcare access to remote communities and mobile apps are helping track and manage diseases like malaria and COVID-19. Fifth, renewable energy. With inconsistent access to electricity in many emerging markets, solar energy startups are providing affordable and sustainable power solutions. Companies like Zola Electric in Tanzania are leading the charge. Despite these opportunities, there are significant hurdles to tech innovation in emerging markets. Let's talk about a few of them. First, infrastructure limitation. Reliable internet, electricity, and transportation are foundational to tech adoption, but these are still inconsistent in many regions. For example, only about 40% of African population has access to the internet, compared to 90% in developed countries. Second, funding and investment gaps. While venture capital is flowing into emerging markets, it's still far from sufficient. Local startups often struggle to secure the funding needed to scale their operations. Third, regulatory barriers. Unclear or overly restrictive regulations can stifle innovation. For instance, some countries impose heavy taxes on tech imports, making it harder for startups to access necessary hardware or software. Fourth, digital literacy. While mobile phones are widespread, digital literacy isn't. Many people lack the skills to use apps or online services effectively, limiting the reach of tech solutions. Fifth, brain drain. Talented professionals often migrate to developed countries for better opportunities, leaving a gap in local expertise. This makes it harder for emerging markets to build and sustain innovative ecosystems. Now let's highlight a few success stories that showcase the potential of tech innovation in these regions. Number 1. M-Pesa from Kenya. Launched in 2007, M-Pesa has transformed financial inclusion in Kenya. It now serves over 50 million users across Africa, providing services like mobile money transfers, saving accounts, and microloans. Second, Nubank from Brazil. Nubank disrupted traditional banking in Brazil by offering no-fee digital banking services. It is now one of the largest neobanks in the world, valued at over $30 billion. Third, Grab from Southeast Asia. What started as a ride-hailing app in Malaysia has now evolved into a super app offering food delivery, digital payments, and even insurance services across Southeast Asia. Fourth, Flutterwave from Nigeria. This fintech startup simplifies online payments for businesses in Africa. It has raised over $200 million in funding and is helping to integrate African markets into the global economy. If you're a developer, entrepreneur, or just someone passionate about tech, there are plenty of ways you can contribute to this growing ecosystem. First, build locally relevant solutions. Focus on creating solutions tailored to local needs. For instance, prioritize offline functionality for regions with inconsistent internet access. Second, invest in partnerships. Collaborate with local businesses, NGOs, and governments to ensure your solutions align with community goals and have a higher chance of success. Third, emphasize scalability. While addressing local problems, think about how your solutions can scale to other markets facing similar challenges. Fourth, upskill and educate. Offer training programs or mentorship to help build local talent. This not only strengthens the ecosystem, but also ensures long-term sustainability. Fifth, advocate for policy changes. Engage with policymakers to advocate for regulations that encourage innovation, like tax incentives for startups or better internet infrastructure investments. To provide some context, here are a few key statistics. According to McKinsey, tech startups in Africa alone have the potential to add $300 billion to the continent's GDP by 2025. The World Bank reports that every 10% increase in internet penetration boosts GDP growth by 1.3% in emerging markets. Latin America saw a 31% increase in venture capital investments in 2023, indicating growing interest in the region's tech potential. These numbers underscore the transformative power of technology in these regions. Emerging markets are at a crossroads. While they face unique challenges, they also hold immense potential for innovation and growth. Whether you are a developer, entrepreneur, or investor, now is the time to get involved. Remember, innovation doesn't always have to come from top down. Grassroots efforts driven by local talent and supported by global expertise can create solutions that are not just impactful but also sustainable. So what role will you play in shaping the future of tech in emerging markets? Let's be the change we want to see. Next week, we will discuss Tech Leadership 101. Transitioning from coder or developer to team lead, software architect, and beyond. If you have ever wondered what it takes to move into leadership roles in tech, this episode will be for you. Until then, keep innovating, stay adaptable, and as always, embrace the change. Thanks for listening to the Change Dude podcast. I am your host, Saeed Rafe, and I'll see you in the next episode.